Laura Bennett walked through the big metal doors of the training arena. The doors made a soft hiss as they closed behind her. She wore a plain gray jumpsuit with the small Alliance badge on her chest. No gun, no armor. Just a small datapad in her hand and a calm look on her face. The arena was huge. The floor was hard gray stone. High walls rose around it, covered with metal plates to stop stray shots. Bright white lights shone from the ceiling. In the middle stood 30 Vark cubs. They looked like large wolves, but bigger and stronger. Their fur was dark gray and black, with sharp silver tips. Each cub stood almost as tall as Laura's waist. Their eyes glowed yellow in the light. They were not babies anymore. They were young fighters, trained since birth to obey, fight, and kill. Instructor Kale stood in front of them. He was older, taller, with scars across his muzzle and one torn ear. His voice was deep and rough. "Formation, eyes front, no sound," he barked. The cubs snapped into straight lines, tails down, heads high. No one moved. This was how Vark trained. Hard rules, fast punishment. Weakness was not allowed. Laura took a few steps forward. Her boots made quiet clicks on the stone. The cubs did not look at her at first. They kept staring straight ahead, just like Kale ordered. Then one nose twitched. Rix was in the front row. He was the boldest of the group. His ears flicked up. He sniffed the air once, twice. His yellow eyes widened. A small whine escaped his throat. Lyra, next to him, caught the scent too. Her tail gave a tiny wag, then stopped as if she remembered the rules. But her body leaned forward. Tor lifted his head. Mira did the same. One by one, the whole line of cubs started to shake with excitement. Noses high, ears forward, tails began to rise. Kale growled, "Eyes front, control yourselves." But it was too late. Rix broke first. He leaped out of line with a happy yip. His big paws hit the ground hard. He ran straight toward Laura. Lyra followed right behind him, then Tor, then Mira. In seconds, the perfect formation fell apart. 30 cubs surged forward like a gray wave. They barked and yipped with joy. Tails waved high. Tongues hung out. They reached Laura and skidded to a stop. Some pressed against her legs. Others jumped up to lick her hands. Rix pushed his big head under her arm so she would scratch behind his ears. Lyra sat right in front of her feet and looked up with bright eyes. Tor circled her once, tail wagging so fast it blurred. Mira leaned her full weight against Laura's side like she wanted a hug. Laura smiled. She knelt down slowly. She put one hand on Rix's head and the other on Lyra's shoulder. "Easy now," she said in a soft voice. "I'm here." The cubs made happy noises. Some rolled onto their backs. Others nudged her with wet noses. They forgot all about formation. They forgot about Kale. They only saw her. Kale stood frozen. His mouth opened, but no sound came out at first. Then he roared, "Back to line, now!" The cubs did not even look at him. He took one step forward. His claws clicked on the stone. "I said back." Still nothing. Kale's fur stood up along his back. His lips pulled away from sharp teeth. He looked ready to drag them back by the scruff if he had to. Laura raised one hand toward him. "Please wait," she said. Her voice stayed calm. "They're not disobeying to be bad. They just know me." Kale stared at her like she had lost her mind. "Know you?" he snarled. "You are human, soft, small, no claws, no fangs. They are Vark, born for war. They do not know soft things." Laura kept petting the cubs. "They know kindness," she said. "They know someone who fed them when they were hungry, someone who played with them when no one else would." Kale's eyes narrowed. Explain. Laura took a slow breath. She kept her hands moving gently over fur. 3 months ago, their dam died. A border fight. She never came back. The elders did not know what to do with 30 cubs who lost their mother. They were too young to train properly, too sad to eat. The pack handlers tried, but Vark do not comfort the way humans do. The cubs were getting weaker. She looked up at Kale. I asked to help. I said I would come every day after my other work. The elders said yes, but only because they thought I would fail fast and leave. Kale snorted. And you did not leave? No, Laura said. I stayed. She scratched under Tor's chin. He closed his eyes and leaned into her hand. I brought food, warm milk at first, then meat. I sat with them, I told stories, I played chase games, slow ones so I could keep up. When one got scared at night, I stayed until he slept. The cubs pressed closer. Some lay down around her, in a loose circle. Others rested their heads on her lap. Kale watched. His growl faded a little. And they imprinted on you? Laura nodded. I think so. Not like a real dam, but like someone safe, someone who cares. A few other trainers had gathered at the edge of the arena. They stared with open mouths. Vark did not show soft feelings. Vark did not run to humans. Humans were death world monsters in old stories, slow but unstoppable, able to chase prey for days until it dropped from tiredness. But this was new. One trainer whispered to another. They left formation, for her. Kale took another step. This time he did not growl. He looked down at the cubs, then at Laura. Get up, he said. I want to see if they listen to you. Laura stood slowly. The cubs stayed close, but gave her space. She looked at them. Sit, she said quietly. Tails still wagged, but they sat straight. Kale's ears flicked in surprise. Stay, Laura said. They stayed. Come. She walked forward a few steps. The cubs followed in a happy group, not in neat lines, but close together, like a real pack. Kale crossed his arms. His tail lashed once. This is not training, he said. This is something else. Laura turned to him. Maybe it can be both, she answered. Strength and care together. Kale did not answer right away. He looked at the cubs again. Rix had his head on Laura's knee. Lyra leaned against her leg. The others watched her face, like she was the only thing in the room. He finally spoke. They will return to formation, now. Laura nodded. She knelt one more time. Go back, she said softly. Listen to Kale. I'll come tomorrow. Promise. The cubs whined. Some ears drooped, but they listened. One by one, they trotted back to their places. They sat in rough lines, not perfect, but better than before. Their eyes kept flicking toward Laura. Kale stared at them for a long time. Then he looked at her. Tomorrow, he said. It was not a question. Laura smiled. Tomorrow. She turned and walked toward the doors. The cubs watched every step. A few gave small, hopeful barks. When the doors hissed open, Rix stood up like he wanted to follow. Laura looked back. Stay, she said gently. Rix sat again, but his tail kept wagging. Laura stepped through. The doors closed. Inside the arena, silence fell. 30 pairs of yellow eyes stayed fixed on the closed doors. Kale looked at his class. For the first time in many years, he did not know what to say next. Laura Bennett walked out of the training arena. The doors closed behind her with a quiet hiss. She took a deep breath. The air outside felt cooler. Her heart still beat fast from what happened inside. She had not expected the cubs to run to her like that, not in front of everyone. She went down the long hallway. Lights on the walls glowed soft blue. Other trainers passed her. Some stared, some whispered. A tall, insect-like trainer from the Zeth race clicked his mandibles in surprise when he saw her. A short, furry Gruul engineer stopped and tilted his head. "Human," he said. "Did the Vark Young really break rank for you?" Laura gave a small smile. "They did." The engineer shook his head. "Impossible. Vark do not do that." She kept walking. She did not want to talk more. She needed to think. Back in her small room on the station, Laura sat on the edge of her bed. The room was plain. White walls, one narrow window that looked out at stars, a desk with her datapad, a few books from Earth. She opened the datapad and looked at old photos. There were pictures of the cubs when they were smaller, tiny things with big paws and fluffy fur. In one photo, Rix was curled up in her lap, asleep. In another, Lyra licked milk from a bowl, while Laura held it steady. Tor and Mira played tug with an old rope she brought from her quarters. They looked happy then, not like soldiers, just like young animals who needed care. 3 months ago, everything changed. The message came late at night. A Vark transport ship attacked near the border. Their dam, a strong female named Sura, was killed. She left 30 cubs behind, too young to join a new pack, too hurt to train hard. The elders wanted to put them down. Weak links, they said. But one elder, an old female named Vara, said no. Let the human try, she told them. Humans are strange. Maybe strange is what they need. She had no training in raising predators. She was just a cultural liaison. Her job was to help different species understand each other. But she grew up on a farm back on Earth. She knew animals. She knew lonely ones most of all. The first time she went to the nursery pen, the cubs hid in the corners. They growled low, eyes wide with fear and anger. Laura did not go close. She sat on the floor outside the bars. She talked softly. She read stories from a children's book she brought, tales about brave dogs and clever foxes. She left food near the door and walked away. Days passed. One cub, Rix, came closer first. He sniffed her hand through the bars. Then Lyra, then the others. Soon they pressed against the bars when she came. She asked permission to go inside. The handlers said yes, but watched with weapons ready. Inside, she sat still, let them come to her. When one got too rough, she said no in a firm voice, and pushed gently. When one was scared, she let him hide behind her. She scratched ears. She rubbed bellies. She laughed when they tried to chase her in circles. She never hit, never yelled loud, never showed fear. They started to eat better. They slept closer together. They played more. And every night before she left, she said the same thing. "I'll come back tomorrow. Promise." Now they were bigger, stronger, but they still remembered. Laura closed the datapad. She stood up and looked out the window at the stars. "What have I done?" she whispered. The next morning she went back to the arena. She wore the same gray jumpsuit. The doors hissed open. Inside, the cubs were already in formation, perfect lines, tails still, eyes front. Kale stood tall in front. But when he saw Laura, his ears flicked. He did not bark an order right away. The cubs saw her too. Small whines came from the back row. Rix's front paws shifted like he wanted to run again. Kale spoke. "They waited for you. All night they looked at the door." Laura stepped forward. "I told them I would come." Kale looked at her for a long time. "Show me," he said. Laura walked to the middle of the floor. The cubs watched every step. She stopped and knelt. "Come," she said softly. They did not break rank, not yet, but their bodies leaned toward her, eyes bright. Kale growled low. "Discipline first." He gave an order. "Run the circle, full speed, no sound." The cubs took off. They ran in a big loop around the arena. Fast, silent, paws thundered on stone. After 10 laps, Kale called stop. They froze in place, breathing hard, but still. Now, Kale said to Laura, your turn. Laura stood. She looked at the cubs. Sit, she said. They sat. Down. They lay flat. Stay. She walked away. She went to the far wall. Their eyes followed her. She turned. Come. They ran to her. Happy barks this time. They circled her. Noses pushed at her hands. Tails wagged hard. Kale watched. His tail did not move, but his eyes changed. Less angry, more curious. Other trainers came in again, more this time. Word had spread fast. A Zeth clicked his mandibles. A Grull scratched his ear fur. Even a few human workers from the mess hall stood at the back. One Vark trainer, a young male named Jor, stepped forward. This is wrong, he said. They are warriors, not pets. Kale turned to him. Watch. He gave another order. Attack drill. Targets up. Drones rose from the floor, small flying machines with red lights. They darted around. The cubs formed a hunting pack. They moved as one, pounced, dodged, took down 3 drones in seconds. But then one drone flew high. It shot a small sting. Pain, not harm. Tor yelped, hid behind Laura's legs. The other cubs stopped. They looked at Tor, then at Laura. Kale snarled, back in. But the cubs did not move. They pressed close to Laura. Rix growled at the drone. Lyra stood in front of Tor like a shield. Laura put a hand on Tor's head. It's okay, she said. Just a sting. You're safe. Tor stopped shaking. He looked up at her. Then he stepped out. He joined the pack again. The others followed. They finished the drill. Faster than before. Jor stared. How? Laura looked at Kale. They trust me. Trust makes them stronger, not weaker. Kale did not answer right away. He looked at the cubs. They sat around Laura now. Calm, happy, ready. He finally spoke. The elders will hear of this. Laura nodded. I know. Kale turned to the class. Dismissed. The cubs did not leave right away. They stayed near Laura. She scratched ears. She spoke soft words. Good job today. One by one, they went to their pens. But they looked back at her many times. Kale stayed. He walked closer. You changed them, he said. They changed me too, Laura answered. Kale looked at the empty arena. The elders may not like it. Laura met his eyes. Then let them see for themselves. Kale gave a short nod. They will. He turned and walked away. His tail moved slow. Not angry, not happy. Thinking. Laura stood alone in the big room. The lights felt brighter. The air felt heavier. She smiled a little. The cubs remembered her promise, and she would keep coming back. Outside in the hallways, the whispers grew louder. The human tamed the Vark young. Not tamed, another said. Loved. Laura Bennett stood in the observation deck above the training field. The field was big and open. High walls surrounded it. Metal posts stuck out of the ground. Drones waited in the air, ready to fly. Red lights blinked on them. This was no simple drill. This was the test. Below, the 30 Vark cubs stood in tight formation. Their fur looked darker under the bright lights. Tails were low, ears forward. They knew something big was coming. Kale walked to the center. His scars showed clear in the light. He looked up at the deck where the elders watched. 5 old Varks sat in a row. Their eyes were sharp. One was Vorn, the rival pack leader. He had thick black fur and a cold stare. He wanted this test. He wanted to prove the human made the cubs weak. Kale raised his voice. This is the challenge. Live fire. No safety nets. Drones will attack. Obstacles will move. You must reach the end zone. Fast, clean, no breaks. They waited for the signal. Vorn spoke from above. His voice came through speakers. The human stays out. No words, no touch. If they fail without her, the program ends. The cubs go back to normal training. No more soft human games. Laura stood quiet. Her hands rested on the rail. She looked down at the cubs. Rix looked up first. His eyes met hers. He gave a small whine. Lyra shifted her paws. Tor's ears flicked toward her. Kale looked up at Laura. You hear? No help. Laura nodded once. I hear. The signal sounded. A sharp beep filled the air. The drones launched. They flew fast. Small beams shot out. Not deadly, but they stung like fire. The cubs moved. They split into 3 groups like trained. One group went left, one right, one straight. They dodged beams. They jumped over low barriers that rose from the ground. At first, it looked good. Rix led the center group. He leaped high over a wall. Lyra flanked him, snapping at a drone that came too close. Tor and Mira worked together to take down one flyer. But then the field changed. More barriers rose. Some moved. Floors tilted. Smoke filled parts of the air. The drones got smarter. They targeted the weak spots. One drone hit Tor hard. He yelped and rolled. His group slowed. The others kept going, but looked back. Another drone dove at Mira. She dodged, but lost speed. The pack started to break. Not much, just small cracks. But in Vark training, small cracks grew fast. Vorn laughed low. See? Soft. They look for her. Laura watched. Her fingers tightened on the rail. She wanted to call out. She wanted to run down. But she stayed still. The cubs reached the middle, halfway. But now they hesitated. Rick stopped. He looked around. His tail dropped. Lyra whined. Tor limped a little. The drones circled closer. Kale growled. Move. They tried, but the pack felt wrong. Something missing. Up on the deck, Vorn stood. Enough. They fail. The human ruined them. Laura turned to Kale. He had come up to watch close. Let me go down, she said. Not to fight, just to be there. Kale's ears flattened. Rules say no. Laura met his eyes. Rules say test their strength. If they are stronger with trust, let them show it. Vorn snarled. No. But one elder, a quiet female named Vara, raised a hand. Let her. If they fail anyway, it proves your point, Vorn. Vorn's lip curled, but he sat back. Kale looked at Laura. Go, but unarmed. No commands that break drill. Laura nodded. She ran to the lift. It took her down fast. The doors opened. She stepped onto the field. The cubs saw her at once. Heads turned, ears perked, tails lifted a little. Laura did not run to them. She walked slow, calm. She stopped in the open. She did not speak loud. She just stood. He barked, once, sharp, happy. Then he moved. Not run away from fight. Run toward goal, with her in sight. The others followed. Lyra pushed Tor up. Mira circled back to help stragglers. They formed around where Laura stood. Not touching her. Not hiding. Just knowing she was there. The drones attacked harder. Beams flew. Barriers moved. But now the cubs were different. They moved as one again. Rix feinted left. Something Laura taught in play. He drew 2 drones. Lyra and Tor pounced from sides. They took them down. Mira led a charge straight. They jumped moving walls like it was a game. Laura walked forward slow. She did not point or yell. She just moved toward the end zone. The cubs moved with her. They protected her path. They dodged. They fought. They stayed close but free. Smoke cleared near the end. One last big drone rose. It was larger, red beams stronger. The cubs did not stop. Rix leaped high, landed on its back, claws in. Lyra and Tor hit low. Mira circled and jumped. The drone crashed. Sparks flew. The cubs crossed the line, all 30, breathing hard, some bleeding small cuts, but all there. Silence fell. Then the cubs turned. They ran to Laura, not jump on her, just press close, noses on her hands, tails wagging slow, tired but proud. Laura knelt. She touched heads. Good, she whispered, so good. Up on the deck, Vorn stood fast. Trick, she helped. Vara spoke calm. She did not fight. She did not command. She stood, and they won. Kale looked down. His tail moved once. Not anger, respect. The other elders nodded slow. Laura looked up. She saw their faces. She saw Kale's eyes. The test was over. But the whispers started again, louder now. The human did not fight. She just was there. And that was enough. The cubs stayed close as medics came. They checked cuts, gave water. Laura helped hold still the ones who shook. Rix leaned on her leg. Lyra rested her head on Laura's knee. Kale walked down. He stopped near. They finished faster than any group before, he said. Laura looked at him. They trusted themselves, because they trust me. Kale looked at the cubs, then at her. Maybe trust is strength too. Laura smiled small. Maybe. Vorn stormed off, but the others stayed, watching. The field lights dimmed a little. The day was done. But for the cubs, and for Laura, something new began. They walked off the field together, pack and human, side by side. The station would talk for days. The station lights dimmed for night cycle. Most halls were quiet. Only soft hums from machines filled the air. Laura Bennett walked back to her room. Her boots made small echoes. The cubs were safe in their pens now. Medics had cleaned their cuts. They slept close together, tails over noses. But Laura could not sleep yet. Something felt wrong. She sat at her desk. The datapad glowed blue. Messages waited. One from the elders, another from Kale. She opened Kale's first. Incident report. Pirates hit the outer ring 2 hours ago. Small group, fast ship. They want weapons from the armory. We pushed them back. But more may come. Stay in quarters. Laura stared at the words. Pirates. Here, on Drake and 4 Station. The place was supposed to be safe. Neutral ground. Training only. No real war. She stood up. She could not stay in her room. Not when the cubs were out there. She changed into dark clothes. Not armor. Just something quiet. No gun. No knife. Just her voice and her hands. The halls were empty. Red emergency lights blinked slow. She moved fast but soft. Toward the lower levels. Toward the armory pens. Alarms sounded far away. Short bursts, then silence again. She heard growls. Deep Vark growls. And sharp barks. The cubs. She turned a corner. Smoke drifted in the air. Metal walls had black marks from energy shots. 2 Vark handlers lay on the floor. One moved, one did not. Laura knelt by the moving one. It was Jor, the young trainer who did not like her. Blood on his fur. He looked up. Human, he rasped. They broke through, took the side passage. Kale is hurt. Vorn pinned. The cubs, they fight. But too many drones. Too much fire. Laura pressed cloth to his wound. Where are the cubs? Armory hall. Last stand. She stood. Stay here. Help comes. Jor grabbed her arm. Weak grip. Don't go. You die. They need me. She ran. The armory hall was chaos. Doors half open. Sparks from broken panels. Drones flew inside. Pirate ones, black and red, shooting blue beams. Pirates in gray suits moved behind cover. They laughed loud. They thought they won. In the middle, the 30 cubs stood in a loose circle, fur raised, teeth bared, some bled. Rix stood front, his shoulder dark with blood. Lyra guarded his side. Tor limped but snarled. Mira circled fast. Kale lay against a wall, leg twisted wrong. He growled orders. Hold! Do not break! Vorn was trapped under a fallen beam. 2 pirates aimed at him. The cubs fought hard. They leaped, they bit, they pulled down 1 pirate, but more beams hit. 1 cub yelped loud and fell. Another backed up. Laura stepped through the broken door. The cubs saw her. Time seemed to stop. Rix's ears flicked up. His growl changed. Hope! Lyra barked sharp. Happy sound in the fight. The pirates turned. One laughed. Look, a soft one, easy target. Laura did not run. She walked forward slow, hands out, no weapon. Together, she said, loud enough for the cubs to hear, like we practiced. The cubs moved. Not wild, not panic, they listened. Rix feinted right, drew 2 drones. Lyra and Tor hit low, took them down. Mira circled behind a pirate, jumped. Teeth in suit, pirates screamed. Laura kept walking, straight to the center. A pirate raised his gun at her. Stop, human! She did not stop. The cubs closed in. They formed around her. Not hiding behind, protecting. A living wall. Rix pressed close to her leg for 1 second, then leaped again. Laura spoke calm. Left flank, now. The left group moved fast. They pushed 3 pirates back, used cover like in drills. Right, cover Vorn. They dragged the beam off Vorn with teeth and strength. Vorn stood, limped but fought. Kale watched from the wall, his eyes wide. Laura knelt by a hurt cub. It was one of the smaller ones. She pressed hands to the wound. Hold on, she whispered. The cub licked her hand once, then stood again. A big pirate charged her, gun high. Rix met him first, full body slam. Pirate fell. Others piled on. The fight turned. Pirates yelled, fall back. They ran for the side passage. Drones followed, but cubs chased, fast, relentless. Laura stayed in the middle. She called soft commands. Slow, watch corners, help the hurt ones. The cubs listened. They did not chase too far. They came back, formed around her again. Smoke cleared. Silence came. Kale dragged himself up, leaned on a wall. They held. Vorn limped over, looked at Laura, then at the cubs. They fought like pack. Better than pack. Laura helped the hurt cubs stand. She looked around. Everyone okay? The cubs pressed close. Some limped, some bled, but all alive, all there. Rix pushed his head under her hand. She scratched his ears. Good boy. More Vark handlers arrived. Medics, security. They took the pirates' bodies, fixed broken things. Kale walked to Laura. Slow, pain in every step. You should have stayed away, he said. Laura looked at him. I could not. He looked at the cubs. They sat around her now, tired, proud, eyes on her face. They would have broken without you, Kale said, quiet. Laura shook her head. They were strong, I just reminded them. Vorn stepped closer, his voice rough. I was wrong. Laura looked at him. I thought soft made weak, Vorn said, but you gave them heart. Heart makes them fight harder. Laura did not speak. She just nodded once. Vara walked front. She looked at the hall, at the cubs, at Laura. You saved the armory, Vara said. You saved them. Laura knelt. Rix leaned on her. They saved me too. Vara looked at Kale, then Vorn, then the cubs. The elders will meet, she said, but I think the answer is clear. Laura stood. The cubs stayed close. Handlers led them to the medbay. Laura walked with them, one hand on Rix, one on Lyra. In the medbay, lights were bright, soft beds for the cubs. Medics worked fast. Laura sat between 2 beds. Cubs rested heads near her. Some slept, some watched her. Kale sat nearby, leg embrace. He looked at her. "You are not what we thought," he said. Laura smiled small. "Humans are many things." He nodded slow. "Maybe we need many things too." Outside, the station repaired itself. Pirates gone. For now. But inside the med bay, a quiet promise grew. The cubs slept safe. Laura stayed. She kept her promise. Tomorrow would come, and she would be there. Weeks passed after the pirate attack. The station healed. New metal covered the burned walls. Lights shone bright again. The armory doors were stronger now. But the biggest change was not in the walls. It was in the Vark. The elders met in the high council room. Long table, dim lights. Old Vark sat in a circle, Vara at the head. Kale stood near the door. Vorn sat quiet. No one spoke loud. Vara looked at each face. "We saw what happened. The cubs held the armory. They fought pirates. They saved lives. And they did it with the human in the middle." One elder growled low. "She is not Vark. She has no place here." Vara raised a hand. "She has more place than you think. Without her, the cubs break. With her, they stand stronger." Kale stepped forward. "I saw it myself. They did not fight for fear. They fought for her. That is new. That is better." Vorn looked at his paws, scars still fresh. "I called her soft. I was wrong. Soft can be strong too." The room stayed quiet for a long time. Vara spoke again. "We make a new role. Pack Mother. One human. Laura Bennett. She trains with us. She teaches trust. She teaches heart. The cubs grow with both claws and care." No one argued. The decision was made. Laura heard the news in her room. Kale came himself. He stood in the door, tall, still limping a little. "You stay," he said, "not as guest, as Pack Mother." Laura looked up from her data pad. "Pack Mother?" Kale nodded once. "It is old name, from long ago, before we forgot how to care. You bring it back." Laura stood. She walked to the window. Stars moved slow outside. "The cubs, they will grow big. They will leave for war." "Yes," Kale said, "but they will carry what you gave them. Loyalty, trust. They will not break easy." Laura turned. "I accept." Kale's tail moved once, almost a wag. "Good." The next day, training changed. The arena was full. Not just the 30 cubs, more came. Young ones from other packs, older ones who wanted to see. Trainers from other species watched too. Zeth clicked mandibles. Grohl took notes. Humans from the station stood quiet. Laura walked in first. No jumpsuit today. She wore simple clothes, soft boots, hair tied back. The cubs saw her and barked happy. They ran in a group, pressed close, noses on hands, tails high. Kale stood beside her. "Begin," he said. Laura looked at the cubs. "Sit." They sat, fast, straight. "Listen." She spoke clear. "Today we learn together. You are strong. You have teeth. You have speed. But strength is more. Strength is pack. Pack is trust." She walked among them, touched heads, spoke soft names. "Rix, you lead today. Lyra, you guard left. Tor, right. Mira, back." They moved into place. Not perfect lines. Loose circle. "Ready." Kale gave the signal. Drones rose. Barriers moved. The cubs fought, but different now. They looked at each other. They looked at Laura. When one fell behind, another helped. When one hurt, they covered. They won fast, clean. No one left alone. After, Laura knelt. The cubs came close. She scratched ears. She said, "Good pack." They answered with low, happy growls. Months turned to years. The 30 cubs grew, big, strong, fur thick, eyes sharp. They became warriors, sent to borders, fought real fights, came back with stories. But they always came back to Laura first. Rix grew tallest. He led his own pack now. But every time he returned to the station, he found her. Pushed his head under her arm, like old days. Lyra became scout, fast, quiet. She brought gifts, small stones, feathers, left them at Laura's door. Tor and Mira stayed close. They trained new cubs, taught the same lessons. Then Claws. Laura grew older too, lines on her face. Hair a little gray, but her voice stayed soft, her hands steady. One day, a new group of cubs arrived, tiny, scared, their dam lost in a fight. Laura went to the nursery pen, sat on the floor, spoke quiet stories. The new cubs came slow, sniffed, then pressed close. The old 30 watched from outside. Rix looked at Laura. His tail moved slow. Kale stood beside him. Old now, fur thinner. She still keeps her promise, he said. Rix answered low. She always will. Years later, trainers told the story to new young. They said, once, a human walked into training. No armor, no weapon, just herself. The young listened, eyes wide. And the cubs, they jumped from the pack, ran to her, broke every rule. A small cub asked, why? The trainer smiled, because she saw them, not as weapons, as family. The young looked at each other. And now? Another asked. Now, the trainer said, Varke do not fear much, but we remember. We remember the human who taught us heart makes the strongest pack. Laura lived long on the station. She saw many cubs grow. She saw peace come and go, wars start and end. When her time came, she lay in her room, window open to stars. The old 30, now gray and slow, came one by one. They lay around her bed. Rix rested his head on her hand. Lyra pressed close. Tor and Mira guarded the door. She touched each one. Good pack, she whispered. They stayed until the end. After, the Varke did not howl loud. They howled soft, a song for Pack Mother. They carved her name on a stone in the arena. Simple words. Laura Bennett, first Pack Mother. She walked in. We ran to her. We never stopped. New cubs passed the stone every day. They touched it with noses. They learned the story. And somewhere, in the quiet of space, the station kept training. Claws sharp, hearts strong. Because once, a human walked into training, and the cubs jumped from the pack and ran to her. And that changed everything.